The population of South Africa now stands at 62 million, according to Stats SA. And while the country has recorded an increase since 2011 of most basic services, it comes with a number of capacity challenges related to service delivery, particularly in the areas of reliable piped water supply. Professor Sam Koma, governance analyst, joins me now to look at some of the issues highlighted in the census. Prof, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for your time and welcome. How important is it, especially now, to understand our population demographics, given a decade-long lapse in the availability of this kind of information?
Oh, yes. So what is interesting about the release of the Census 2022 report is that back in 2011, when Stats SA released the Census 2011, that development coincided with the official launch of the National Development Plan, which was launched by the national government. It was presented as a blueprint that will inform government planning across the board, including all the spheres of government, national, provincial, and also local governments. And also in the National Development Plan, already there was a projection that the population size of the country is likely to grow. And also there was specific mention that provinces such as Gauteng and also the Western Cape and also cities such as eThekwini, City of Joburg, and also Cape Town are likely to attract a larger number of citizens moving into these particular cities in search of course, employment opportunities and also access to basic services. As we know, these provinces, 9 in number, they're not in the same state of development and also growth. And also, there was a projection that we are likely to see these patterns of in-migration and also immigration. So the release of the Census 2022 report yesterday reaffirms the observation that was made already in the National Development Plan. So what is notable about the release of the Census 2022 report is that there is notable improvement in the area of the provision of access to piped water inside dwelling. And there are only 2 provinces that seems to have done very well. That is Gauteng and the Western Cape. If you look at the report, it does highlight that households who reside in these 2 provinces are likely to have access to piped water inside a dwelling compared to other provinces, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, and other provinces. So that needs to be acknowledged, that already there were projections, there were forecasts done around population growth. So now we are in 2022, you can see that there is a correlation in terms of the projection that was made in the NDP when it was launched in 2011, coinciding with the Census 2011 report and what we now have as part of the report released by Stats SA yesterday. But
Prof. Koma, is it that remarkable in the sense that, you know, Gauteng is the economic hub of the country and you know, the correlated information from the census tells us that this is where the concentration of people are, potentially looking for those jobs, that people would be moving around and that naturally our population would grow. What I'm interested in perhaps, and I'll direct our conversation in that way now, is what the former statistician General Paddy Lehotla reflected on, is that our economic picture in terms of GDP has been on a downward trajectory, and it's not because of population growth, but because it belies our macroeconomic fundamentals. In other words, something is fundamentally wrong with our policies. And it's really, again, interesting that you raise that the last time our census numbers were out, 2011, is when the NDP was released. But perhaps those promised projections on what the yield of the NDP would have been have not delivered.
Yes, you're quite right. So Mr. Paddy Lehotla is quite correct that what have been the impediments around the need to ensure that our economy delivers on the much needed employment opportunities and drastic reduction of poverty has been issues which are macroeconomic in nature, but also, you remember, the country has been faced with a number of domestic economic conditions and also global economic conditions. Of course, in our context, in line with the projection of the report released by the International Monetary Fund, it projects a 2% economic growth for the country if, there's a caveat, if Eskom and Transnet are fixed. And we know that the issue of load shedding has affected both small businesses and also big business that are quite crucial in terms of propelling the economy of our country into higher growth levels. We know there's also been some movement in the area of attraction of foreign direct investment, but the challenge has been around the trickle-down effect. To what extent are these investments trickling down to the ordinary man on the ground, and also in terms of impacting on reduction of inequality, but very important, reduction of employment. So there have been other contributing factors. Iman, you remember, part of what has been lamented about is that the government, to a large extent, lacks capacity, one, to spend capital funding or budgets or infrastructure grants. There's also the issue of poor project planning, and also there's also been a challenge in terms of ensuring that government institutions are able to infuse a sense of urgency in how they go about prioritizing the delivery of basic services to ordinary members of the public.